Sinead O'Connor, just like her song that Nothing Compares to You
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
She really was one of a kind.
Absolutely.
Today we're diving deep into her life. And, well,
Right into it.
it's a life that was kind of like her music, I guess,
There's lots of ups and
Yeah,
downs.
full of highs and lows, a lot of controversy, tons of emotion.
For sure.
We've got a whole bunch of sources. Like, we dove into her Wikipedia page, articles from the Daily Star, even found some international stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And what we found is honestly pretty intriguing and kind of heartbreaking, too.
Yeah, and I think what really gets me is that even her final wishes, like what she wrote in her will, they really give us a glimpse into, I don't know, like her personality
Yeah.
and her relationship with the music industry.
Yeah. And it's definitely not your typical will.
No, not at all.
I mean, who else tells their kids to, like, milk their music for all it's worth?
Yeah, like for what it's worth.
Like, there's a little bitterness there, but also...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But also, she's being practical.
Yeah, defiant almost.
Yeah, almost defiant.
It's like she knows how, I don't know.
How the industry is.
Yeah, how exploitative it can be, but she still wants her kids to benefit.
Right.
And then there's these deeply personal things, like her ashes,
Yeah.
and then, of course, the tragedy with her son, Shane.
Yeah, that loss, gosh, it must have been so hard for her.
I can't even imagine.
It's clear, though, that family was so important.
Oh, definitely.
Even with all the fame and controversy.
Mm-hmm. Amidst it all.
And speaking of controversy, I mean, we can't avoid talking about Saturday Night Live.
Oh, we can't.
I mean, that image.
It's been decades.
Decades, right?
But that photo of her ripping up the Poke's picture, it's unforgettable.
For sure.
But I think we have to understand that it was more than just rebelling.
Right. There's a reason.
It was targeted. She was protesting how the church handled those child abuse allegations.
Right. And at the time, nobody was really talking about it.
No, not at all.
So she brought light to a really dark place.
She did, even though it meant backlash.
And basically, she sacrificed her career.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm noticing a pattern here. She was never afraid to make a statement.
Never.
Even if it meant, like, pushing fans away or putting her success at risk.
Exactly. And this commitment, to her principles, it's everywhere throughout her life.
Right.
Like her refusal to play in Israel, protesting how Palestinians were being treated, or even her advocating for a united Ireland, even saying they should dismantle the republic.
Yeah, wow.
These weren't just opinions, they were deep convictions.
Right. She acted on them.
Consequences didn't matter.
So we've got this incredibly strong-willed woman, right, who isn't afraid of anything.
Oh, no, not at all.
But then there's also this other side, the spiritual side,
Yeah.
the mother, the artist, who's always, I don't know.
Dealing with her own stuff.
Yeah, dealing with her own demons.
It's that complexity that
Yeah.
makes her story so captivating.
For sure.
It's not like good versus bad or
Right.
right versus wrong. It's messy, it's human,
Yeah, definitely.
full of contradictions, struggles, and in the end, it's a search for meaning,
Right.
a search for truth.
And that search took her down some pretty unexpected paths, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Like her relationship with religion.
Oh my gosh, what a journey.
Right.
I mean, from, denouncing the Catholic Church to becoming a priest to then, years later, converting to Islam.
Wow.
It's clear she was always evolving and looking for that spiritual home, the one that fit her values.
What stands out to you about her spiritual journey?
I think it's her willingness to be open to question things, to change.
Right.
She wasn't afraid to challenge even the things she used to believe in.
Yeah.
And some people might see all this changing as, I don't know.
Erratic?
Yeah, erratic. But I see it as her trying to find truth.
Right.
Connection to something bigger than herself.
Yeah. It's really interesting how, like, her spiritual journey kind of reflects her personal life,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like all those twists and turns, ups and downs. And, we can't really talk about Sinead without talking about her childhood.
Oh, absolutely. It really had a profound impact on her.
It did.
And she actually talks about it, pretty openly in her memoir. Rememberings, yeah. She describes like all these family problems, and her relationship with her mom was really difficult.
Oh, wow.
Like a lot of abuse, physical and emotional.
That's so sad.
It really is heartbreaking to read about.
And then on top of that, losing her mom in a car accident
I know.
when she was only 18.
So young.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much that affected her.
It's such a crucial age, you know? It
Really.
definitely, I think, shaped how she saw the world, her distrust of authority, and even how protective she was of vulnerable people.
You can see those themes in her music,
Oh,
her
absolutely.
activism, that rebellious spirit.
Totally. Her music is like a window into her soul.
It is. It really is.
There's so much raw emotion in it, so much vulnerability.
It's painful sometimes.
It is gut-wrenching at times, but then there's this incredible strength, too.
Yeah.
This refusal to be silenced, to be broken.
I was thinking about the lyrics to Troy.
Oh, yeah.
They're so powerful, you know?
Visceral, so much pain and longing.
It's like she took all those early experiences.
Then poured them into her music.
Right, and made them into something universal.
Something everyone can connect with.
And even shaving her head, right?
Yeah, that was the
It
statement.
was like rejecting all those conventional beauty standards.
Ex-
Being an individual.
Especially in the music industry.
Right, where they want to control your image.
It's like she was taking back control of her body
Right.
after a childhood where she felt powerless.
And that resonated with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Especially those who felt, I don't know, like outsiders.
Or pressured to fit in.
Exactly.
It shows how authentic she was. She didn't play by the rules.
Nope, not at all.
Which brings us to,
Her mental health.
yeah, she was so open about her bipolar diagnosis,
And her struggles with depression.
which back then was pretty rare, especially for a celebrity.
It was a bold move.
Especially with all the stigma around mental illness.
It would have been easier to keep it quiet.
Right? Just pretend everything was fine.
Maintain that pop star image.
But she chose to be honest.
Vulnerable.
And by doing that, I think she helped a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Definitely, she destigmatized it.
Showed that even someone like her
Successful,
had
talent.
struggled with these things.
That it wasn't a weakness.
Yeah.
Or a failure. It's a reminder that she was a real person,
Yeah.
with real problems.
And that's what made her relatable.
I think so, even when she seemed controversial.
Yeah. Or maybe out there.
We should go back to that Saturday Night Live thing for a second.
Oh, yeah.
The one that kind of defines her career.
Yeah.
What people forget is, like, the context.
You're right.
It wasn't just about shocking people or grabbing headlines.
It was 1992.
Yeah.
The abuse scandal in the church wasn't really public knowledge yet. And she was one of the first to actually say something.
To condemn the church for covering it up.
On such a huge stage.
She knew there would be consequences.
It was a protest, like a call to action.
Definitely. And it did start a conversation.
It did.
A heated one, for sure.
It made people think about the church differently.
Yeah. And confront a truth that they didn't want to see.
She was kind of like a whistleblower.
Yeah. Using her platform to expose something really wrong.
And yeah, there was a lot of backlash.
A lot.
But her actions brought it to light.
It's hard to say how things would have gone without her.
Right.
But she definitely changed the narrative.
It shows how one person can make a difference.
Even against huge opposition.
But it also makes you wonder,
What's that?
did her activism, like being so outspoken, did that overshadow her music?
That's a good question. I mean, there's no doubt that her music got lost in the controversy sometimes.
Right.
Some people might only remember her for SNL or her political views.
Yeah, but to only focus on that.
You miss the beauty of her music.
Her voice was really special.
Literally and figuratively.
There was something so raw, so honest in her music.
Yeah.
It went beyond genre.
It connected with people on a deep level.
It's sad that her artistry gets overlooked sometimes.
But it also shows how strong her beliefs were.
Yeah.
She was willing to sacrifice her career.
For what she believed in.
To put her principles above everything else.
And that's inspiring, don't you think?
Definitely. It reminds us that it's okay to stand up for what we believe in.
Even when it's hard.
When it's unpopular.
Her story makes us want to be more than just, like, observers.
Yeah, passive.
It pushes us to question things.
To use our voices.
To fight for change.
Absolutely.
Before we finish this deep dive,
Okay.
I think it's important to look at her spirituality a little more.
Yes, definitely. Let's go there.
Her spiritual journey, it wasn't exactly a straight line, was it?
No, not at all. It was more like exploring, questioning, searching for her own truth.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see how it changed over time.
Yeah.
She started out, really criticizing the Catholic Church.
Publicly, too.
Publicly, yeah. And that was a big deal back then.
Huge.
Especially in the early 90s.
Yeah, it wasn't as common as it is now.
Right. People weren't just openly disagreeing with the church.
And that Saturday Night Live thing.
Oh, yeah.
Tearing up the picture of the Pope.
It was shocking.
It was more than that, though. It was the timing,
Yeah.
the abuse, and how they covered it up.
And she called them out on it.
She did. She called it hypocrisy, corruption, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then she gets ordained as a priest
I know, right?
in an independent Catholic church.
It's kind of a contradiction, isn't it?
It is. She's denouncing the church, but then she's joining a branch of it.
I think it shows just how complex her faith was.
Yeah.
It wasn't about blindly following. It was about connecting with something bigger,
Yeah.
searching for meaning in a way that made sense to her.
So maybe she saw the independent church as like her own way.
Yeah, her own way to have faith separate from all the power structures.
That she hated.
Exactly.
So it was more personal, less about the rules.
Right, in that personal connection, it led her to Islam.
In 2018, right?
Yeah, she took the name Shahada Sadapat.
Another bold move.
Oh, yeah, it made people question her again.
But she always said that it was about a direct relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. No matter what religion.
Her spirituality, it was beyond labels.
Institutions, it was all about her own journey.
A quest for truth. And it took her in a lot of directions.
It did.
And even after converting, she still performed as Sinead O'Connor.
That's true.
It's like she accepted every part of herself.
Yeah, all the different sides.
It's pretty inspiring, especially with all the pressure to conform.
From the industry, from society, everywhere.
That independent spirit, it's a constant in her life.
It really is, in her music, her activism, her choices, even her will.
Sinead O'Connor, she was a force of nature.
She was. She lived life on her own terms.
Never backing down from controversy.
Challenging everything.
She was a voice for those who didn't have one.
A powerful artist.
Who shared her soul through her music.
And a complex person, always searching.
Her life showed us how important it is to be yourself.
To speak truth to power.
That one voice can make a difference.
Sinead O'Connor might be gone, but her legacy, well...
Like her song, it'll never compare to anything else.
will live on.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into her life and how she changed the world.